Okay, so we'll get started, and hopefully you guys can follow this. So I know some of you have been watching our prior webinars, so you've heard this before, so please bear with me. But just wanted to let you know that this series of blue water webinars is presented by Grand Large Yachting, actually in partnership with Yachting World. And Grand Large Yachting is a group that of boats that are made for blue water sailing. That's the DNA of the group. It was started by two friends. Cannot hear you clearly, I'm sorry. It was started by two friends who were looking for the perfect boat to go around the world. And since they couldn't find it, they decided to create their own. And it actually led them to start a company that was called Allure, and making blue water sailing monohull boats. And then after that, the group grew. And so Grand Large Yachting is now the parent company for Allure, Outremer, Garcia gunboats, and RM boats. And I think that a lot of you actually already know these brands. And I want to go over this quickly because you already have heard this probably for those of you who followed the sessions prior. Okay, we seem to have a sound problem again. I'm hoping it's going to come back. My signal says it's okay. All right. We had two sessions prior to this one with Pete Goss and one with Christian Dumas, and we're here for the third one with Loïc. We'll get into that in a minute. Just to let you know what the program is, we have 3 more webinars to come. The next one it's every 2 weeks on Thursdays. Hello, everybody. You keep coming in. In 2 weeks, we'll be speaking with Nikki about a touchy subject. Can there be more than one skipper on board? So we'll see that with her. Then we'll have Martin Houdet 2 weeks after that, talking about medicines on board. And we will finish with Knut Frostadt on how sailing digital can be a freedom factor on board. So all of that is going to be quite interesting. So today's topic is technical boat management in blue water cruising. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback as to how we came to talk about that topic in this webinar. And by way of doing that, I'll take the opportunity to introduce Loïc to you guys. So Loïc has been a long-haul airline pilot for 30 years, almost 30 years. He's been a flight instructor for 20 of these years. And he's also a sailor, having sailed for 40 years or even more. What makes Loïc special is that he went for a first round-the-world trip with his family a few years back on an Outremer 51. And when he came back, I was incredibly amazed to see that the boat was basically in the same shape as it left the yard, even probably better. And so we wondered how that was possible that the boat was so well maintained. And so there's no magic to it. There is methodology and experience. And so we figured it was so incredible that we wanted him to share that with our community. And so for those of you who are familiar with Outremer, you will know Loïc because he's been kind enough to give us to share some of this experience with our community during the O-Week training that we provide twice a year. And we thought it would be interesting to make this available to a wider audience. And since my sound is not so good, I will let him speak so that you can follow the presentation.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you, Karine, for the short introduction. I'm very happy to be with you today to share what I find helps maintaining a boat in a very good condition when you sail offshore. And of course, it's a difficult exercise in less than 1 hour, but I will give you at least the main ideas behind this. So just to start talking about my boat, today we are on my Outremer 55, but before that I had a few other sailing boats, and I had a Mini Transat 650, I had a monohull in aluminium, then I had the Outremer 51. And since June, I'm the happy owner of the Outremer 55 #1. So our last sailing trip, as Karine mentioned, we sailed around the world. So we crossed all the oceans. That was for 30 months, and we covered more than 50,000 nautical miles. It was a very nice experience. We are very happy to bring the boat back in very good condition in La Grande Boat. And now we are ready to go again 3 years later on a brand new Outremer 55. And we are actually joining the Grand Large Yachting World Odyssey, which has started about 2 weeks ago, and we are leaving a little bit behind for personal reasons. And we'll catch up with them very soon in the Canary Islands. So let's enter the subject, the importance of boat maintenance. When you sail offshore, of course, it's a key factor in the success of the project. It's obvious to say that if your boat is not in a good technical condition, you will not have fun, and it's not going to be safe neither. So that being said, even the best quality product and the best boat require attention to stay in good shape. The autonomy that you get in terms of maintaining your boat gives you the key to freedom, because then you can go far away from maintenance places and be able to do everything on your own. So I believe that the boat care is an integral part of the blue water experience. On top of that, it was a case for us coming back with a boat in a perfect condition, helped a lot to resell the boat and to resell it for a value that was even very close to the new boat value. So a boat, as you know, is made of thousands of parts. They are all assembled together, and many systems equip our boat nowadays. Sailing also is, well, that's on salty water, so it's a harsh environment with humidity, with salt. The sun also is harsh for the boat. The motion of the wave, forces created by the wind, all of these, create a big challenge for the technical system that is the boat. On top of that, we sail to remote places. We have limited access to spare part and technical support when we are far away from maintenance facilities. The good news, though, is that you meet people that have, like you, the same project, and who can have, skills that you don't have, and who can, help you if you need. There is a strong mutual support in the sailor community, especially when you're far offshore. So what I propose today is to share a few topics that will help you prepare this technical management of your boat. I will talk about how to have a balanced project, crew and boat, how to gain competence, how to organize your tools and spare parts. Then what you can do as a routine maintenance procedure, how to also how to manage technical issues if it happens, and it will happen one day. Also, what to plan about maintenance when you're overseas and you're far from your main place of maintenance for a long time. And we will conclude with maybe the future of maintenance offshore and what are the choices that we have today. So chapter 1, as Pete Goss mentioned in his webinar when he was talking about Dare to Dream and finding the right boat and so on, to repeat him, a good match is essential. You must have or find a boat that is suitable for your program and the type of project that you have. It must also be in line with your not only your budget but your overall abilities. And I would say it's quite important to think about boat maintenance from a very early stage in your project. Very often, one can be tempted to go for, bigger boats, second-hand, that are sometimes, quite cheap on the market, but it's very easy to overlook, the heavy cost of maintenance of bigger boats. So I would say that having a global approach to the cost of maintenance for the boat and for the program is quite important, even at an early stage. As you can see on this super simple graph, the maintenance requirement of a boat grows with the boat complexity. The more system you had on a boat, the more maintenance is required. And so on this curve, you must find the sweet spot for you, for your competencies, for your budget, and for the time you want to dedicate to the maintenance of your boat.
You do have a question. I don't know if that can be heard, so you can repeat.
Yes.
Is there a certificate for second-hand boats to make sure that it's in respectable condition?
Not that I know. The only thing that you can do is you can and you will make a survey before any purchase. But talking from experience, because I had with boats, the monohull was a second-hand boat. To the comparison between the result of the survey and the actual condition of the boat showed quite a big gap, to say the least. So to give you more information about this overall aspect, also important to talk about you as a skipper, because the way you handle your boat has a lot to do with the type of maintenance that you might have to make. So basically, we have the boat, the environment, the skipper, and the crew. And there are interactions all the time between these elements. And as a skipper, it's very important to be aware of it. Anticipate as much as possible and be in control. As an example, being in, you know that if you experience bad weather at sea, it will have an influence on all the effort on your boat, on the chafe, and so on. So there is a lot of preventive measures that you can do to reduce this. The knowledge, the skill, and the attitude of the crew and the skipper will affect greatly the condition of the boat. And I've broken down these competencies in 3 categories: the technical competencies, the procedural, and the behavioral competencies. And this is something that I'm taking actually from the aviation industry. It can be replicated in the boating environment. So technically, I mean controlling your boat, knowing the system, knowing to use them, knowing all the procedures to use the boat, especially the systems, And the procedural side can also be on the environment. And Christian Dumas was talking about that 2 weeks ago. I mean, today we have very good tools that can help us route and avoid most of the bad weather. And for me, that's a very important competence to develop that will have its effect on the technical condition of your boat. And the last but not least is the human factor, how you manage to have all the crew involved in the care for the boat. So being a good leader, working well as a team is important, being able to communicate, also being able to know what's going on around you, what we call situation awareness, and not only the skipper, but the full crew, so that you can make the right choice and right decision when necessary. So gaining competence now. Let's talk about knowledge. The first step, I guess, is start by knowing your boat and all the system. A boat is can be actually, especially a blue water cruising boat, can be quite a complex technical system, depending on the level of comfort, of course, and the size of the boat. But we have all sorts of system, electric, engine, plumbery, electronics, and so on. And this is not so simple to know everything. It requires some time and some a real willingness to explore and learn what is on your boat. So one of the first things, once you get your boat, or even before you get your boat, is to get all the documentation for the system that can be used on your boat. I'm not asking anyone to be a technician on all systems of the boat, but at least have the basic knowledge of how it works. Have like a synoptic view of all the systems of your boat. Now, gaining competence, not only in knowledge, but also in skills. So we are all different. We all start from different background. And I would say there is no need to have huge amount of skills when you start. But I would say before you start your voyage, it's nice to have at least a basic know-how, how to do the basic maintenance on your boat, like engine checking the oil level, checking the coolant level, being able to assess if your rigging is in good condition, if your sail is not, is in a good condition for the sailing. All these things, are not too difficult, but I would say it's a requirement before you start. When you're on your boat, I was mentioning that the marine environment is very harsh. So I would say my best advice in terms of super simple skill is to make sure that everything is rinsed with fresh water and clean as often as you can. And it's not difficult to do, but the effect on your boat condition will be very important. Still gaining competence, once you start your voyage, you will keep learning. It's a step-by-step process. You can't know everything on day one. It would be a mistake to compare your skills with others. Learn by doing, live on board, and you will realize that very quickly you get acquainted with your boat, with the system, and you will learn new things almost daily, and you will develop technical skills on a daily basis. Your competence and your confidence associated will grow as you travel. The tools and spare parts. Obviously, to be able to maintain the boat, you need some set of tools. Again, the tools should be adapted to your boat, to your abilities or your crew abilities, and to the project. So to do a simple, I would say simple cruise in the Med does not require the same tool as crossing the Atlantic. And to go even further, to cross the Pacific or the Indian Ocean, you need to be even more autonomous. So that means a little bit more tools, a little bit more spare parts. So it will be your decision and your choice to define, what you want, what you take on board to do the maintenance. On my boat, this is a photo taken actually a few days ago from Saga. I've put all my toolboxes on the table, and I have actually 5 toolboxes. I have one that it's quite a heavy one, where I have all the big tools for engine and mechanical tools. I have a smaller box for electrical system, another one for plumbing, another one for sail repairs, rope work, and then we have a small toolbox that is a daily, what I call the daily toolbox, a toolbox that you need if you need a screwdriver or a plier or something like that, that is easily accessible, and you don't have to open a big box to get, the small screwdriver that you need. In terms of tools, it's important that it is accessible, well protected, because most tools, are subject to rust, and so it's important to protect them, store them properly. They are also heavy, and especially when the weather is bad, you don't want to see tools flying in the boat. For the spare part, it's I apply the same philosophy. The spare part will be different, I don't have the same parts on board at the moment that I will have in 2 or 3 months when we enter the Pacific. At the moment, I have basic spare parts, and I will probably get more provision, especially for engine, for the water maker, before entering the Pacific. I could have taken them now, but I'm trying to keep the boat, as light as I can, and therefore, I've postponed that a little bit. What is important also with regards to tools and spare parts is to keep a log and inventory of what you have on board. I put a picture of, just a simple Excel sheet that I use, where I have all the spare parts, all my tools, all the technical related stuff that I need to know what I have and what I need to get. The boat maintenance routine. That's now we are getting to the core of the maintenance. What I have for my boat, I have prepared a set of checklists, also coming from aviation, that are adapted to my boat, and that helps me to conduct the routine checks and inspection, depending on the type of navigation I'm doing. So I have, for example, the daily checks that I will do, as it says, daily at anchorage or sailing. More comprehensive checks done when I'm going to go for a short passage, and a very comprehensive check where I go through everything for long oceanic passage. And this is again all you know, recorded on my Excel sheet. I can tick the boxes when it's done, and I'm satisfied that I haven't missed anything. As an example, what you can do at anchorage, or if you're at the marina. Well, first thing, if you had broken, or anything was broken on your boat, it's probably the best place to start, you know, working on it, if possible, if you have the parts available. Also nice when you have fresh water available to rinse and clean the deck and the rest of the boat thoroughly. So cleaning inside, outside. The good thing about cleaning, it's not only good for the boat, but because you'll spend, you know, a few hours with your eyes and hands almost everywhere on the boat, it will be the best, you know, visual inspection possible. Also, nice to use this time for stainless steel polishing, and for hulls, underwater inspection, mast rigging inspection if you have to, and my last point is even if you're at anchorage, or well, maybe not in a marine, but at anchorage, at least keep the boat in a ready-to-go condition. For me, especially offshore in remote island, you know, in anchorage where you can have coral heads nearby, stuff like that. You never know what the weather can be next night, you know, and 25 or 30 knots squall can come, and you might need to move your boat in the middle of the night. That happened to us a couple of times. It's not every night, but at least if you're ready on that particular day, you'll be very happy. For a short passage, so on top of all the previous list, you will inspect, of course, more thoroughly the engine room, check that the dinghy is secure, all the boat is in order, inside, outside, and check the rig, the mast, the boom, the standing and the running rigging, check the sails, all the deckwear, make a functional test of the bilge pump. I mean, all systems of the boat, you know, you must be satisfied that they work, or if they don't work, you can do without them. And for the oceanic passage, as I was mentioning before, it is a very thorough inspection of the entire boat, and you will check all systems. You'll spend some time. It takes almost a full day to go through everything, even if your boat is in good condition. Pay, of course, a particular attention to the systems that are, you know, critical for the mission. So I mentioned the rigging. So you must climb the mast to check aloft, check all the rigging, all the parts of your rigging, all the antennas, the lights, the halyards, and so on. Check also all the deckwear thoroughly. Make sure that all your winches work nicely, and they are, you know, greased, and everything must work perfectly. If you need to service your engine, your water maker, of course, it has to be done before making a long passage, where, depending on your boat, you might need to motor for some hours. The management of the technical issue. It's part of cruising that, you know, one day or the other, a technical malfunction or a breakage happen. So how we manage this, we have a set of tools for that, and the tools are mainly prevention, surveillance, so monitoring everything on a daily basis, even when you're sailing, especially I would say when you're sailing is paramount. That will give you the opportunity to detect a problem before it becomes a big problem. And I mean, I can't count the number of things that I've picked up sailing that could have been a big problem if I had not seen the problem developing. But this discipline routine inspection that I'm doing, daily, and most of the time I do it twice a day, like in the morning and in the evening, allowed me to detect the problem before it became a big problem. And of course, you cannot detect everything. So one day or the other, you can find yourself with a breakage on board. So that will need to be corrected. And you will also need to learn the lesson from this problem. That's something we do in aviation. Every time we have a problem, there is no point, trying to point finger who's responsible for this or that. It's what can we learn from this experience. And yes, Karin?
Yes, talking about that, we have a question from Torsten,
Yes.
who says, outside of Google or YouTube, if something is broken, how do you find information? Is there communities that you suggest?
Well, YouTube, when you're offshore sailing, unfortunately, unless you're prepared to spend, a huge amount of money with broadband connection and satellite connection, you're without this type of help. Now you can maybe you can download a few things before, and that's why I was mentioning, in the first step of competence, I was mentioning the knowledge, because there is a lot of things, many things can be done before you go. Like, first of all, gathering all the technical documentation of your boat for all its systems, so that you have a technical library on board to refer to if you have a problem. And I hope I've answered the question. Otherwise, just, the skills that you have developed before, and of course, common sense, and sometimes just being able to do without something. Always have a plan B. Taking an example, if the water maker fails, midway of a long passage, how do I do? Well, I've got enough drinking water on board to cover that amount of time, so that we are not short of drinking water. And for the rest, well, we'll use salt water for the washing and so on. So always have a plan B if you can't do something. So I was mentioning the return of experience. Yes, that's very important, because over the months and years, you will see that the same problem may occur again. And if you address not only the problem, but the root cause of the problem, it will help you the next time. An important part of the maintenance for blue water cruising is the bigger maintenance that you need to do like every 18 months or 2 years. Most of the boat required, after this time to be hauled out for anti-fouling or bigger repairs, things that you could not do yourself. So it's important to plan ahead this type of thing and assess, where you're going to be or where do you want to do this heavier maintenance. Where do you want to haul out? In which cruising area will you be? What will be the available facilities? And here again, it's important to note that depending on your type of boat, you're facing different challenge. If you have 30, 40, 45 foot monohull, the number of hauling out facilities is very important. If you have a bigger multi-hull over 50 to 55 foot, it will be a lot more difficult, and the number of places when you can easily haul out are very limited. So if you have this type of boat, it's even more important to plan ahead. Also seeing what kind of work do you want to do. The first time, after if you have cruised for a year or two, maybe you have thought about some improvement job for your boat, and it might be nice to take that opportunity of hauling out, being in a place where you can have the help of professionals to do it. If you need to replace some parts on your boat, it's also interesting to plan ahead logistic associated with that, because shipping sometimes and sourcing parts can take time. So if you plan ahead, it will be always better. And also realize that you're not the only one. We are not so many cruising around the world, but it happens that we all tend to be in the same area at the same period of time, and with the same intention of hauling out. And it's something I will do next time. I haven't done it on my first trip around the world, but this time I can tell you that in about 1 year time, my hauling out timing will be booked, in a shipyard a few months before I get there, so that I don't waste time, finding the resource, having to wait 1 week or 2 weeks for the boatyard to be ready to haul out and so on. So that's something I've learned from experience. Now, to conclude, and before the question, your future is basically your choice in terms of maintenance. As I've mentioned before, important to think what type of boat you want, what are you prepared to do yourself, what do you want to be done by professionals in terms of maintenance. Do you want to keep your boat as simple as possible so that you have less to do, or are you a fan of more sophisticated boats, and you want more comfort, you want more high tech, and in this case, be prepared to do a little bit more in terms of maintenance. Now, in terms of high tech, we have new things, opening, and an example at Outremer, they're trying to develop a new system to monitor the boat remotely, And our boat, like a few others, have been fitted with monitoring systems that will be able to monitor most technical system on the boat. It's completely transparent for me. The boatyard is able to check the condition of my batteries, of my fridge, of my water maker, of my engine, and so on. And this in a way to be able to notify me of something not being completely right before I can even see it visually. Like, for example, if my fridge, starts leaking or starts, consuming more electricity energy than normal, I will get an advice saying, look at your fridge, look at the ceiling, and because something is not right. So that's maybe the future also of maintenance. I don't know, having a boat that is more connected, and where even offshore we can have like a third party help in almost real time. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, as a conclusion, I'd say don't be afraid by the maintenance on the boat. It's a big topic. It's a big topic. It must not be underestimated, but it's not an impossible task. If you're prepared to invest some time and some energy in trying to understand what's on your boat, how it works, hands-on training will help you. You'll become proficient. You'll know more and more how to do it, and you'll get the confidence. And it's a challenge that is very rewarding. And it's, as I said, to start, it's your key to freedom.
Thank you, Loïc. So I hope people can hear me. We'll ask you a few questions that came through the chat and that we kept for this Q&A session. If you guys have more questions, you can ask them now. One of the questions was from Ian. Wanted to know if you could tell us on your past trip on the Outremer 51, how much about you spent on repairs and maintenance for the 30 months that you were at sea.
Okay, you mean in terms of money?
Yes,
the cost?
The budget for repairs and maintenance that was spent. Yes.
Okay, it was. I include regular maintenance and the hauling out, and also some work improvements that we made on the boat. I remember we added a couple of extra solar panels, and it was slightly under 15,000 euros for Outremer 51. As the boat was new when we left, we had a few, warranty issues, not many, and but that was covered by the warranty of the boat, so it was made at no cost for us.
Okay, thank you. So then there's another hot question that came up a couple times from several of our listeners about the checklist. So yes. We anticipated the question about the checklist, and obviously people are asking if you could share them. And I think you have an interesting answer on this one, so people will pay attention, I'm sure.
Yes, well, of course, I mean, there is nothing, I mean, it's not secret, but I think a checklist must be adapted to your boat. It must, because a checklist, basically, you must not skip anything in a checklist. Everything must be checked. So if I give you a checklist of my Outremer 55, and you have a 40-foot monohull, there are many things that are on my checklist that will not be applicable to your boat. Basically, my best advice, is try, I mean, think hard and try really to check, I mean, to see your boat, go through your boat. I mean, you have also some booklets. I don't know if you guys know this. This is in English. It's the sailor checklist. It's a very well documented, checklist covering, what you do on land, at sea, all the emergency checklist, the distress checklist, the rescue checklist, and that's something that, I mean, I'm using, and I have of course more comprehensive technical checklist for my own boat, but starting to write your checklist with a booklet like that is a very, very good start.
Great, thank you for that advice. Actually, and if people want to get that reference again, we can post it again on the chat. A couple other questions. You talked earlier about a connected system, and Spike wanted to know how that is connected to your yacht, and he's talking about Iridium, and I'm not sure.
Yes, well, it's not. It's basically all the data. I mean, so many data are actually taken from my boat, and it is sent to at the moment it is only sent to Outremer via a 4G connection. So there is like a SIM card in one of the system, and every time there is a phone network available, all the data will be sent. So at the moment when I'm offshore, it's not using the satellite connection to transmit the data. So, but maybe one day when the cost of uploading data becomes a bit, less, it will be possible.
Thorsten asks you, what is your take on electric motors for blue water cruising? And he suspects that maintenance might be less. Do you have any thoughts on that?
This is something that we considered seriously on this boat. And I mean, to be 100% honest with you, at this time, Outremer was not too keen. And mainly because my boat is the number one of the 55. So number one boat has already, I mean, poses a few challenges to any builder, and the electric, motor being quite a new thing at the moment, especially for blue water cruising. We decided together that it was a bit early to go for that, but I think now today they are almost ready to do it, and they've done it on the 4.0 Outremer. But then, of course, it's I would say at the moment, I believe it's perfect if you stay not too far from civilization, but going really offshore, miles and months from maintenance facility. I prefer not to be the guinea pig of testing this thing.
Right. We have a connected question, I guess. Sylvain and Olivier are asking you, it seems like you don't have a generator on board. Is that based on previous experience? Does it have to be used, or is it that between the solar, and you don't have windmill, but solar and
yes,
boiler maker, it's not a need anymore?
Yes, we never had a generator on the 51. We don't have on the 55. We have on the 55 a lot of solar panels. We have almost 2,400 watts of solar panels, and we have also 3 lithium batteries, and that seems to be enough to cover all our needs in terms of electricity. Keeping in mind that we are all electric for comfort.
Perfect. And one final, I guess, question from who asked it? But who asked it? The question was, yes, it was Ian, who wanted to know, aside from size and greater sailing speed, why did you decide to upgrade from a 51 to a 55?
Yes, for these reasons. Yeah, just to get a little bit more, yes, a little bit more speed, a little bit more comfort, and yeah, that was the main reason. Yeah.
We remind people that you're going with 2 children. You're 4 people on board. So.
Yes, we're only 4. Yeah, exactly. We were 5 on the 51, but now our older son is a student, so he doesn't come with us on this new trip. So we are even less on the bigger boat, so more space for each of us.
So yes, Jonas says there is poor sound on my side. I'm very aware, unfortunately, of that. Thank you. Trying our best. So maybe, well, if there is no more questions, we can stop here. Just to remind people that we'll have a replay. For those of you who might have come in late for this session. And just don't miss the next session. I just wanted to also say that you were going for your World Odyssey trip today, this afternoon?
Yes, this afternoon. Well, I need to check the weather last time because there is a low pressure system developing south of the Balears, and I haven't decided yet if we go or not. But yeah, it's on our list for the week.
And if people want to follow your adventure and the adventures of the 30 or so boats that are going around the World Odyssey 500, we'll have a website, and you can also follow us, a dedicated website, and you can follow us on the social networks. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Loïc.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, everyone.
And we'll see you online in 2 weeks with a better sound, I hope. Thank you, everyone.